train your Gavin. Read those books in a blink. Oh yeah. Grab yourself a hot drink cause you're watching How to Train Your Gavin. Yep, that's me.
Hey guys, welcome back to How to Train Your Gavin. Because I've cracked open a bottle of bubbly.
A little bit of the bubbly.
I thought that it would be good time. What? Oh my god, I'm struggling. I thought it would be a good time to talk about my worst books of 2020 because I feel like when I've had a little bit, it's only books fizz, I feel like it's going to get me in the mood to vent a little bit and talk about the worst books I've read this year. A lot of you guys already know what they'll be because I've done a lot of ranting during the year. But if you're new to my channel, I hope I don't upset you. Please know that my opinions are, they're shit. Let's be honest, they're shit. So just take everything I say with a pinch of salt. Unless I say otherwise, because I feel like I'm right on some of these, okay? So this is my worst and most disappointing. So some of these aren't exactly the worst. They are just, I had such high hopes for them and they just couldn't live up to my expectations. But I didn't have enough of a list for my most disappointing, so I just shoved them all together in the worst and most disappointing video. So I hope you don't mind that. Also, some of these I've read a little bit of a while ago now, so I want to try and... I put most of these in a box, and now we're unleashing a demon. So let's start talking about the books. I've already unhauled a couple, but the first one I've already unhauled, and I do have a whole video on this, is Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becca. Oh my god, surprise! Yeah, I read this, oh my god, why do I fucking start with this? I read this one back in April, and I remember I couldn't sleep that night, so I was like, I'm going to pick something off my shelves that's been on my table for such a long time, and I love the movie, love Simon, although I hadn't seen it since the cinema really. And I thought it would be a good idea to read it at that time. I read it all in 4 or 5 hours, I can't remember now, but I remember the sun coming up and me thinking, what have I fucking done? At least I've read it so I'll never have to read it again, but... Okay, that one is about a boy called Simon, and he is gay, but he's keeping it a secret, and one day he is on the computer and he writes an email, an anonymous email, which Martin, who is his classmate, gets a hold of and starts blackmailing him with it. Martin, where is the proof on that email that that is fucking Simon? Because there isn't any. I've just never gotten over it, I'm sure every now and then I wake up in the middle of the night screaming, where's the proof? Where's the proof? And it's funny because it's what the entire premise of that book is that Simon is being blackmailed. Simon makes some of the worst decisions. I got a comment recently on my rant review video saying, I probably hate Simon Versus because I forgot what it's like to be a teenager. Who says I'm not a teenager? Well, the truth of the matter is, I like books that are written well. Although saying that, I do have a book on here that's so beautifully written. So I've just contradicted myself already. God, why? I didn't want to be like Becca, but I am. I'm sure Becca is a lovely, lovely person, and I do not want to slam her or anything. I just really hated Simon. I really, really hated Simon. The character, the book, I just didn't think it was written well at all. There were some gross things in it as well about Simon masturbating, and I just think, God, read those books in a blink. Oh, yeah. Simon, you never think about anybody else but yourself and your relationship with Blue. I'm saying this now, you are the most selfish main character I probably read in a young adult book in my life. Oh my god, oh. Yeah, please do check out my rant review because I talk so much about it on there. I do want to say more things about it now though, but now I'm trying to remind myself, what the fuck did I think about this book? It's a 27-minute long video, I'm not sitting through that. Martin was likeable 1 minute, not likeable the next, oh my god, make up your mind. He's threatening to out you as a homosexual. And 2 chapters later, you're falling in love with him? Where's the logic? It doesn't really matter if I do or don't remember what it's like to be a teenager. I don't think that's the case of why I don't like this book. It's just that it's so poorly written that it just doesn't convey any kind of logic. It doesn't convey any likable characters really. There are maybe one who I can't tell you off the top of my head who they are because I can't remember any of the other characters. Simon, Blue, Leah. Oh my god, Leah. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Let's not talk about Simon Versus anymore. Let's talk about Leah on the Offbeat, because that is the other worst book I've read this year. Oh god, I actually think I rated Leah on the Offbeat lower than Simon because Leah is a god-awful character. She is such a bully to her friends, to herself as well. It was a bit horrible seeing all that, hate in herself. I did feel a bit sorry for her and I was hoping that she would get help. But at the same time, there's no excuse for what she was doing to her friends and how she would talk to her friends when they were trying to be helpful. She would just tear them down. I mean, I know people like that. It's not nice. Okay, honest question here to anybody who does like a worst of 2020, worst of 2019, any kind of worst of video, do you go back on your old reviews just to remember what you genuinely thought about it? Because I feel like I'm being an absolute tit right now. I didn't really like Leah in Simon Faces. In fact, I didn't really like any of the characters in Simon Faces, maybe apart from one or two. And making a character I do not like as a main character is a huge no-no. Obviously, I forced myself to read this because it was Play Your TV Alright. It was one of those books, like, same with Simon Faces. I didn't really care if Simon got with Blue. Like, I would have loved, actually, if in Simon Versus, Blue turned out to be a catfish. Like, does that make me a bad person? Because I've been catfished before. I would have loved that. That would have just been great. And I probably would have given it 5 stars. However, like with Leah on the Offbeat, Leah is bisexual and she has like a little bit of a thing for somebody, well, her friend. And she just constantly criticizes her though. It's like really hard to get on board with. It has a whole 180 with that kind of romance. And it just, why do you need that toxicity in your life? You know, it just, you don't need it. You don't need it. 2021, Gav is getting rid of the toxic. The only toxic I want is Britney Spears' hit single. I also seem to recall that the same with What If It's Us, is that there is just a Harry Potter reference on every single fucking page. And obviously that's not a great thing anyway in 2020 because of you know who. But like, and obviously like Becca Abitali didn't know about all of that when she wrote these. But oh my god, I'm sick of YA books forcing fandoms into the book and making it 25% of the actual content. Like, I don't give a shit if your character is a fucking Hufflepuff. Fuck off. Get your own personality. If Becca Abitali's books in the future have an audacious amount of Harry Potter references in it, I'm gonna fucking kick off. I swear to God. We have a What If It's Us 2 coming in 2021. Fucking hell. What has the world come to? Yeah, I just really strongly dislike Leah. She was a fucking horrible protagonist. And I'm never wanting to read a Becca Abitali book ever again. Okay, so moving on. One that I wouldn't say is terrible, but definitely a most disappointing book is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. I don't know why I wanted to say Bridget Collins. This one follows Cunningus Snow, Coriolanus Snow, and he was President Snow in the Hunger Games trilogy. And I also have a reading vlog of this. It's spoiler-filled, so if you want to give that a watch, go ahead and do so. I'd love that. So this is a prequel. This is before the Hunger Games trilogy. This is during the 10th Hunger Games, and Coriolanus Snow, he ends up becoming like a mentor to one of the tributes from District 12, and her name was, it was Lucy something, or it was a something Lucy. Lucy Gray, yeah, it was Lucy Gray, say I knew. Who I kind of liked, but there was so much lost potential, especially in the last quarter of this book. There was so much lost potential. I kind of like when a book surprises me and doesn't go the way that I think it's going to go, but honestly my imagination took it to a much better place than the original ending in this. I'm telling you, I was, the places my mind went. I don't know why we went safe with this, because this felt like a very safe prequel. I knew that there wouldn't be any tension whatsoever, because this is a prequel and we know that Snow would be fine. I love a villain origin story, don't get me wrong, I love it. This did not feel like a villain origin story. It didn't have that kind of oomph. Like, I wanted to see Snow become evil, you know? I wanted to see him really be a dick. But, like, yeah, we got dribs and drabs of that in this, don't get me wrong. There are moments, but that's just it. There were moments. And some of these moments were just so tame. Like, I don't know if maybe it's just me being desensitized by a lot of the stuff in YA, but this was tame shit. I wanted to go balls to the wall. It took, 10 years for this to come out after Mockingjay? You made me wait 10 years for this, really. It became a lovesick puppy. Like, oh god, it made me sick. Is that a spoiler? Okay, I'm just gonna say now, like, if I talk about a book, there might be slight spoilers, but probably not, like, too bad. Like, nothing like a huge plot point or anything, but, like, President Snow being a lovesick puppy isn't really that much of a spoiler, I guess. But it just, it's like when you see too much of something, or you see too much of someone, and it takes away all of that intrigue. I really wanted to know more about Snow going into this, this, and by the time I finished this, I did not want to know. But yeah, I do have a reading vlog. I know I hate it when I say, oh, you know, I'm not going to talk all about this because, you know, I've got a video that you can click on and go to. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be that kind of person. However, I just can't remember everything I thought about this book, which makes it disappointing. It makes it so disappointing. I really wanted to love this. I want to give this 5 stars. Onwards and upwards. Hopefully, I think she's writing another one, so I hope it's good. Oh, right, okay, you're gonna hate me, yeah. I just know it. So, another one that I would say is The Starless Sea by Aaron Morgenstern. What a load of fucking waffle. Try and ask me what this is about. And I'd laugh in your face. All I remember about this really is that the main character is called Zachary fucking Ezra Rollins because every fucking chapter started with Zachary Ezra fucking Rollins. Oh god, it got so tedious after such a while. Like, this was like a uni essay where all you talk about is why the curtains are fucking blue. Like, there was no point. I mean, there probably is. Like, I'm not that smart of a reader, let's be honest. So as I said before about taking my opinions with a grain of salt, this is what I mean. I'm a shit reader. I remember that he found a book in a library and I believe it was about his life and about him making a decision that he didn't make when he was younger. I kind of remember that. Like, some of this was very intriguing, not gonna lie, very beautifully written, one of the most beautifully written books I've read this year. Like, if she could have taken out some of the waffle from this and put it in assignment verses, I would have been happy. We would have had 2 solid 4-star books. Like, there were some gay bits in this from what I recall, but oh my god, that's when I know that I'm done with a book. It's when I don't even care about that. Like, I was too far gone by that point. But there was some gay shit in this, and I appreciated that, which is why it's not the worst of the year. It's just that I've read so many great things this year, so really, this is just bottom of the barrel. It's not really absolutely terrible, but it just kind of is. I just, like, literally rewatched my January wrap-up when I read this. Honestly, it was so long ago. And for some reason, I called it lazy. Why? I'm trying to analyse myself. I didn't elaborate. Why did I think this was lazy? I think it was because there was a lot of leeway into what Aaron Morgenstern meant in her writing. So it kind of felt like she was making the reader do too much. Kind of, okay, I kind of say that. I'm trying to convince myself here, please entertain me. What I think what happened is Aaron's writing was very beautiful, but there was no plot. And because there was no plot, she made us, the reader, try and read into it via the writing to make a plot out of nothing. Maybe that is what I meant. Ooh, gosh, what a load of fucking nonsense, like, seriously. It was one of the earliest books I read this year, so I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to go into a book that I have literally just read, and it is, unfortunately, in my most disappointing, and that is Ready Player 2 by Ernest Cline. I gave this one 4 stars initially because even when I finished this, I was like, I have such high hope for this. I want this to be great. But then I slid that rating down to a 3. Okay, so, sorry. This is a sequel to Ready Player 1, which I gave 5 stars last year. I really enjoyed the premise of having the Oasis, which is this in-game reality for people to escape to from the real world because the real world has gone to shit. So, yeah, in the first book, there was this big quest for the next person to take over the Oasis, and we followed Wade, our main character. Now, if you have any interest whatsoever in Ready Player 2, do skip ahead, because very, very light spoilers. If you're not really interested in Ready Player 2, I don't think I give away too much. Everything is kind of written on the synopsis. It's the first line of the synopsis, so I'm not spoiling anything that isn't already known. So I'm going to go into, like, the spoilery of the synopsis. But if you haven't read Ready Player 1 and you want to, or stuff, then please ignore me. Wade won that contest in Ready Player 1. So in this one, it follows him having won the contest. He now owns the Oasis, and honestly, he becomes such an insufferable character. I really did not like him, especially to begin with. He did get a little bit better towards the end. However, by that point, my mind was already made up. And it is kind of upsetting because I really did have high hopes for this book. But then we kind of got another recycling of the plot in the first book. It was kind of the same, kind of not. I was really enjoying the stakes because there is this, like, new kind of headset that helps you feel what's in the Oasis. But people get trapped in it by a villain, which I'm not going to reveal the villain. It's up to Wade and his friends to go through 7 different quests, or 7 different levels, to win. Essentially, I'm not going to spoil the main chunk of this, but I will say that that part of it did feel a bit recycled and it just wasn't that captivating. It was to begin with, like seriously, as soon as the plot kicked in and the tension started to go really high with people's lives at stake, that was when I was like, okay, right, now we're getting good. But then, like, Quest 3 and 4 in this was so fucking boring, I just wanted it to be over, and they lasted so long too. And then it did pick up again a little bit with, like, Quest 5 and 6 and 7 and stuff, but I mean, I enjoyed Quest 1 and 2, but by that point, like, it was literally the same recycled crap, and I think I did have too high hopes, and that is probably why I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's just that I was expecting more. And that's the thing though, isn't it? That is the thing. Yeah, we need to lower our expectations when we go into these books when we've loved the first one. But that's really hard to do. Like, you can't tell somebody to not be so excited for something. Like, that is hard to do. And I was so excited for this. What happens in this is there is a lot, and especially at the start, there is a lot of telling and not showing. It kind of a little bit of a time jump, like it kind of tries to catch you up with things, but so much is loaded on you and it tells you so much. And this book tells you how to think about this world and it tells you how to feel about this world. Like, it wasn't sitting right with me. I could see it working very well visually, but it was just, as I said, like, too much telling. And as I said as well, like, Wade is insufferable, but the characters come across as so preachy. Like, now that they're rich, now that they own the Oasis, they keep saying, oh, we're donating money to this, we're donating this, we're donating... They keep trying to convince themselves that they're good people, which is fine, like, they are. Fair enough, you know, they do nice things, but stop forcing that down my neck to make me think that they're a good character, because I'll make my own decisions, okay? When you read it, I think you will see that. It's hard to explain until you're, like, actually reading it and you keep seeing it and just say, oh, for God's sake. And also, don't get me started on the overuse of in loving detail. That phrase kept coming up, and I'm sorry, like, that's really petty of me, that's really picky of me, but, like, oh my God, the amount of times in love and detail is used in this, I kind of feel like rereading this just to pick out all of the in love and detail. In fact, if anyone's watching this, please, 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 if you haven't read this yet and you're going to, please count how many times in love and detail is said in this, because oh my God. But yeah, the third quest, fourth quest, boring as fuck, and that really doesn't help the pacing. Brought it right down, and unfortunately I didn't love this as much as I wanted to. So unfortunately it's one of my most disappointing books of 2020. Okay, let's get a little bit light now. I feel bad about this, but The Cheetah Girls by Deborah Gregory, and I'm going to count all 16 books because I did do a reading vlog of me reading all of the Cheetah Girls books by Deborah Gregory. I don't say this a lot about my videos, but that one I genuinely am proud of. Please do check it out. I put myself into the Cheetah Girls movies and do the singing and the dancing, so if that doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. But this definitely shows its age. So The Cheetah Girls is about 5 young girls wanting to take the world by storm by becoming a huge girl group. And I love, like, their ambition, I love their drive, and they each bring something different. So in each of the 16 books, it's told from a different perspective of 4 of the main characters. One of the main characters is a twin, so apparently she doesn't count. That pissed me off a little bit, like, poor girl. Try reading all 16 books back to back, like, that is a 2021 challenge. Try reading all 16 books back to back, you're gonna get sick. And you're gonna start to see all of the repetitive things in this series. And unfortunately, I didn't think this was anywhere near as good as the movies. Like, I love the Cheetah Girls movies so, so much. The girls in this just aren't likable, to be honest. Like, most of them have... And, like, fair enough, because they're teens, like, very early teens, and they make mistakes, and that's fine. But they just, the way they talk about other people as well, it just wasn't the Cheetah Girls I know and love. Like, sometimes they would put other people down, and they would be very judgmental. And there is a Cheetah Girls credo where they're trying to be better and stuff, but even by the 16th book, I'm still seeing the same thing recycled. Not just that, but a lot of storylines were recycled, and I feel like a lot of tough issues weren't tackled very well. There was a really serious issue with Chanel that just kind of... It seemed to be okay, and it was confronted in one of her books, but then it just happened again in the next POV book from her point of view. And it was like, are these girls learning anything? It seemed like the author forgot that a book had come before the current book. You know, it's like she forgot everything that's happened to that point. And it was so jarring by the end of it, and yeah, the girls weren't likeable. And there were just so many cringy things, which is fine. I'm not holding that against this book because this is tween. Like, I'm not the target audience. I know that. I had fun reading them, but they weren't well written. And I don't think they've aged well at all. So I'm sorry. Still got a great vlog out of it though. Another vlog that I'm really proud of that I did, and that was for Between These Sheets by Devin McCormick. So this one follows Jay, and he kind of escapes his previous life and he keeps like moving all the time, but he finds a job and Reese is his boss. You know, it's so gay and I love that. Like, it's very smutty, and I did like the romance like scenes and the sex scenes and stuff. Didn't like the romance all the time, but it was like, oh, like, it got me a little bit hot and bothered, which is great. Unfortunately, it didn't get me very hot and bothered, which is a problem. But I did get a great reading vlog out of that one as well, where I put myself in the Mamma Mia movies as Tanya and Cher. Why don't you want to say that? That also was a vlog that kind of flopped, not gonna lie. But it was great. I got a copyright strike. It affected my monetization for 2 months. It was worth it. But the book was not. It made very gross words out of spooge, which was talking about cum. The character interactions, in fact, the whole book was very formulaic, and the way that the story was told is that the characters would give a huge backstory, then they'd fuck, and then they give the huge backstory again because there's more. They haven't finished, there's more, and then they fuck. And then they go to work, and then they do this, and then they do that, and then there's exposition. So much exposition, and it got on my tits. Also, it tried to tackle serious issues like PTSD, but then it would just glaze past over it and then they'd fuck. It just didn't mesh. Still can't get over the word spooge though. Like, who the hell goes at that? Everything is pretty much told in dialogue, and that really drove me insane. The pairing got very insufferable by the end of it. They just kept repeating over and over, I need you, I need you, I need you. Oh my gosh, don't you have a life? This is coming from a bitter single person, so again, take this with a grain of salt. Unfortunately, the writing totally unraveled any serious topics that were brought up in that book. I mean, I haven't read a lot of romances, but I'm giving them a huge chance in 2021. I'm so excited to give romance a really great chance in 2021. I'm not writing romance off, and I know that there's going to be some fantastically written ones out there, but this one was just not one of them. It has not put me off. I will be doing a romance reading vlog in January, and I'm very excited for it. One that I'm really disappointed with, because it was a hyped book on BookTube, is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one, I love the audiobook so much. I thought the audiobook was one of the best audiobooks I've ever listened to, but I just couldn't care less about the contents of this, to be honest. So I didn't really care about the characters. I felt a lot of them were flat and redundant, and as I said before, I hate it when a book tells me to feel a certain way. And in this one, Daisy Jones is apparently the best singer ever, and Aurora is the best album ever. Did I tell you what this is about? This is about a band, a fictional band, and they have been writing an album, and it's called Aurora, and it blows up. It's like one of the best albums ever, and also the downfall after it. And it's about like the bandmates, but most importantly, it's about Daisy Jones. Daisy Jones is a character, fair enough. We were told so much that she was a fantastic singer, she's an incredible person, she's an interesting person. Show me. I know this is interview format, so it's all dialogue, but I'm trying to remember now. I remember thinking that a lot of the characters were just repeating things, but like, tell me something interesting. I don't really care about the creation of a fictional album. Yeah, as I mentioned in my April wrap-up, that a lot of characters would say something and not back it up or wouldn't elaborate because it was just a throwaway line. And a lot of the characters were too much like that, and it just made for a pitiful background cast, I guess is what I want to say. I could not get on board with that. I didn't care about a fictional band that didn't exist. I didn't care about a fictional album that didn't exist. I can't hear the album. The album's probably shit. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this kind of book, I've realised. And it's not the book, it's probably me. But I'm not writing Taylor Jenkins Reid off either. I loved Evelyn Hugo, and I had such high hopes for this one because of that. Just didn't click for me. This is also supposed to be set like in the 60s and 70s, I think. I just didn't feel the time period that much. And obviously that was a hard thing because it is told all dialogue really. It's like a script. I just didn't connect with this at all, and I feel really bad about it because a lot of people love it. So I am sorry. You guys were waiting for this one, weren't you? Infinity Stone by Adam Silvera. I do still actually have this. I'm supposed to be unhauling it, but for some reason I didn't unhaul it. But I will. This one, oh my god, it's so crap. Where do you get off? This one is like contemporary with fantasy elements, and I hated that. So this is about two twats, and one of them is like obsessed with social media, one of them isn't, and one of them ends up getting really incredible powers. Like, honestly, I couldn't care less. I don't care enough to finish off that synopsis. I genuinely don't. Again, I do have a rant review video about this. Do check that out. From what I remember this, okay, so I don't click with Adam Silvera's writing style at all. I felt like this was rushed, but this also took a very long time to write from what I hear. And if that's the case, oh my god, I dread to think what the next book's going to be like. Oh god, I dread to think. I remember not having a good time reading this. It was quick, I'll give it that. So we follow different characters, there are different POVs. I did not care less about any of them. Didn't like a single one. Not one of them had a personality. And because of the writing style, which again I didn't connect with, I didn't think it was written very well, all of the characters sounded the exact same. And I had the same problem with What If It's Us. It just made it such a hard book to get through because I was finding myself going back to the start of the chapter like, who the fuck's speaking now? And it just was so uninteresting. But I don't care by that point, I don't care. And I don't want to read the second book, but I feel like it could be a punishment for playing a TBR right round or something. But I'm going to try and avoid it at all costs. Why am I so low down? I'm an absolute mess. I've been filming it too high up, haven't I? And it's totally put me off Adam Silvera's book now. Just like Becca Albertalli, I just never want to pick them up ever again. Ever again. What else can I say about it? Like, seriously, it's just so boring. Ugh, get out of my sight. Oh, I feel awful for this next one. I'm sorry. Is this the last one? Okay, the last book is kind of a series, but that is the Tales of Irsay, or the Irsay Cycle series by Ursula K. Le Guin. These aren't, I'm not saying these are the worst books I've read this year, 100% not. I haven't yet read Tahanu. I was supposed to a few months back, I forgot. But I have read the first three. I did quite like A Wizard of Earthsea, but then it just kind of went downhill after that. And I had such high hopes. High hopes for the living. Well, I was reading these with some of my booktube besties. We were doing like an Irsay, was it Le Guin along? We were doing that, and we ended up not doing Tahanu by the end of it because they just we didn't have the interest, and we weren't interested. I don't know what it was. I did still think I enjoyed the writing. I did enjoy the writing. I just couldn't connect with the world, and that's like for me for a series. I have to try and at least connect with that world. And I thought I was in the first book, but then it just kind of fell apart after that. But I am putting this in most, it's not the worst. Like, I'm not hating on the Irsay Cycle. I might give them a try again because, I don't know, like, I feel like I should. And I will read Tahanu as well. I'm sure this one will be like the best one in the series. I just haven't read it yet. I just don't really have that much of an opinion. Like, it didn't invoke any kind of feelings from me. And that is a problem. That is a problem. I got no opinion on this book series. Like, that's bad though, right? I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Did I like it? I didn't not like it. This is so hard. And these are the last books as well, so I feel like we're ending on a bum note. But yeah, I was just uninterested in the world is pretty much all I'm saying. And I think Ursula K. Le Guin is a great writer, and I could see her improving over the series as well. That is one thing for it, but that's good. But this is a bad video, so I can't say that. It also doesn't help that I don't really read a lot of, you know, fantasy adult books and things. So, like, the fact that I'm struggling to even talk about this book just shows you. When I asked for help from Ashley, that's exactly what she said as well. Like, just say that I've got no opinion on it, and that's how disappointed I was. So that is the end of the video, and I've literally, I'm on to the dregs now. You know what, I'm going to finish this off for you guys, because I know what it's like leaving you on a cliffhanger. Like, did he finish the books first? Did he not? This one's for you. Amazing. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a like if you did, or a thumbs down if you disagree. But I'm sorry, I really am sorry. Like, I didn't mean to be mean. But I don't love everything I read. Yes, please leave a comment and let me know what your worst books of 2020 were, or most disappointing, as some of these books were on my list. And hopefully you will subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!